sharing. All right, here we go. Hello, and welcome to today's Tech Talk around the new normal for data privacy. My name is Jennifer Lupiba, the host for these Tech Talks, and I am joined today by Colin Turin, a Principal Technology Strategist here at Quest. Today, in this session, we're going to examine data privacy in light of what we're all going through with this pandemic. We're going to look at the implications of data privacy as we're working at home, and how to adapt and mitigate some of the risks involved there. We'll look at the longer term of what data privacy means, and how it's changed, lessons learned, and how to help organizations capitalize on what they've invested in over the recent months, to help them create the sort of new normal in data privacy. Today, one of the things you can receive attending this Tech Talk is CPE credit if you desire. What we do is I have you email me. I put my email in the Q&A. You'll see an announcement. Right now, just the process is manual. We haven't set up an automated process, but just email me your request. And what I do is I send you a PDF of the slides as well as an attendee receipt. And then you can use those two things to submit to your accreditation organization like ISO 2, or share it with your company if you have certain continuing education requirements. So email me for those CPE credits. And one of the ways we can give these CPE credits as well is these Tech Talks are in the spirit of the Experts Conference. These are not Quest product pitches. We have other webcasts that do that. Tech Talks are really focused on pure training around Active Directory and Office 365, very much similar to and exactly the type of content you would see at the Experts Conference. So the only pitch I do give in these Tech Talks is about the Experts Conference. So as you see here on the screen, Quest sponsors the Experts Conference. We have been running this for many, many years, even though there was a 7-year gap there a couple years ago. And this is all focused around Active Directory and Office 365 training. Specifically, we have tracks on hybrid Active Directory security, Office 365, and then we added one this year called migration and modernization, since mergers and acquisitions, migrations are such a big topic for a lot of organizations and a lot of our customers. This is currently planned as an in-person event later this year in November 17th through 18th in Atlanta, Georgia. We obviously understand that the pandemic, this is a very fluid situation. We are monitoring that. Currently, for an in-person event, we are working with a lot of industry experts to plan for a lot of social distancing and making sure it's a safe and healthy environment. We have the entire conference space at the Loews Hotel, which is a very large space. We're only probably about 250 to 300 people. So right now we have the ability to plan for a safe and healthy environment, but we also understand things might change. You know, we are looking at other options. One of the things you can do right now, if you're interested, is you can go to theexpertsconference.com. You can learn more about it. You can look and register right now and take advantage of the early bird pricing. And if something changes, there's always a full refund all the way up until I think November 3rd. So it's really generous refund policy because we understand things are in flux at the moment. One of the great things about the Experts Conference, though, is not just the topics like today's topic you'll hear and the type of best practices that you learn. It's also engaging with your peers who are there, as well as all these different experts. So Colin, today's speaker, will be there. Randy Franklin Smith, Sean Metcalf, Chris McNulty, David Kennedy, lots of other great speakers that you get to engage with one-on-one, especially in these smaller conferences. It gives you a lot of great face time with these industry experts. All right. Before I introduce Colin, I do want to just give one other call out, and that's our next Tech Talk. It's in a month, July 15th, and this is around Office 365 and being the guardian of your galaxy of email users. So specifically going to look at BEC attacks in Office 365 and how to mitigate those. In fact, I read an article today about a research firm that has published results that shows North Korea-backed hacker groups using BEC attacks for both cyber espionage and financial gain. So BEC attacks are still definitely very prevalent, and Susan Bradley, a Microsoft MVP, will be talking about that and show you different native solutions within Office 365 to help counteract those types of attacks. So without further ado, I want to get to introducing Colin and get straight into today's topic. So Colin is with Quest. So he's a colleague of mine, a principal technology strategist. He speaks to a lot of our C-level customers, specifically around data privacy, Active Directory security, and some of those broader stories out there. Colin, I'm excited to have you here. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we can start talking about data privacy.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that introduction, Jennifer. Yes, the exciting world of data privacy. A little bit about me and what we're going to be doing today. Well, the new normal, an interesting dress code, I think, is what we're going to be seeing most of. So today we're going to tread the thin line between data privacy, security, and technology. They all work together, but what I want to point out right now, the vast majority do not understand the true value of data. Many understand less the cost. Data privacy regulations try to educate as well as significantly increase the cost of its misuse, and therefore driving down the net value, deterring organizations from doing the wrong thing, intentionally as well as unintentionally. So as a technologist, we need to understand the value of the risk and the costs associated with the different types of personal data. Knowing the value allows us to place adequate focus onto its protection. We cannot operate alone. We must work alongside our colleagues from other disciplines, such as audit, and promote data literacy in all areas and all organizational levels. So let's start by taking a look at working from home and talk through how organizations reacted and some of the considerations that they may have gone unnoticed and which could really cause a problem later. Then we can discuss data breaches, the causes, and some recent examples that are good to illustrate what we need to do and consider. We'll look at the rule changes, primarily around GDPR, but also US law as well. I can tell that so excited about that piece. There's nothing more exciting than data regulations. We can then move on to the less important piece, which of course is the technical challenges that we face around recent events, why some did better than others, and what we need to be doing really. Finally, we will look at what the new normal is and what we need to be doing today. And I've kind of given it away there with the icon, I guess, as to what the new normal is. So let's start off by looking at the working from home. When businesses first got the bad news that they needed to stop people congregating, for many, some old hang-ups around remote working arose. And listed there for heavily regulated industries or those handling sensitive client data, especially also we've got to remember data sovereignty rules as well. for heavily regulated, it's remote and cloud practices may have been somewhat daunting, as it requires a huge upheaval to current practices and exceptionally granular data control. However, across the board, many organisations decided to sacrifice some of those constraints in the short term to enable them to continue running as a business. This especially challenging for those participating in the support of frontline services, a moral obligation to what is needed to save lives versus long-term implications of data loss, exposure and potential misuse. The perception was that simply wasn't enough time to tick all the boxes. However, the risk is that many of those boxes are there to ensure informed decisions are made and data subjects remain protected. Just take a little thought here. Data is a very tricky animal to quantify. The ripples it creates in life go way beyond the initial splash into existence and far beyond our capability to predict, especially the way in which one piece of data will be used and its effect on other data artifacts. This is the fundamental problem when trying to explain to non-data people the dangers of, for example, mass-produced smart devices where their primary revenue focus of the organization behind it is to monetize the data rather than provide a service. I'm not knocking them, I'm just saying be wary of it. So after this sort of sprint to enable home working and flexibility, after addressing the shortfalls of equipment and adequate working environments, getting the chairs and everything in place and equipment, what did we learn? Well, it turns out that people can be productive. And that was a shock for many industries that really focused on keeping people in the office. In fact, on average, productivity went up significantly by a significant margin, significantly and by a significant margin. We also found that many roles which were considered to be requiring sort of an on-premise physical presence adapted well to a remote one. They just changed that. Now, a note of caution, I think, on the productivity side, a lot of people were uncertain about their jobs, trying to make a good effort. And so productivity effort was high. I think as time goes on, that productivity will go down and maybe people will start focusing on their Xbox more than their laptop. What we did struggle with was the lack of identity controls. And prior to COVID-19, we need to remember only on average 12 to 17% of most organizations had of that organization were registered to be working from home. But even those were expected to visit the office at least once a month. With the prolonged period of remote working and a dramatic increase in those numbers, ensuring that people were doing what they were supposed to do and actually ensuring the person behind the keyboard was in fact accurate, it was them, was proving to be a challenge, considering we no longer had direct access to where their networks and where they're existing on those networks that are basically soft targets. Finally, the thing many also discovered was their data wasn't in the best place. Yes, it was locked down and the performance when you're there was good, but people couldn't gain access reliably or collaborate securely with other organizations in that lockdown data environment. And this was a real struggle for people working from home. So some organizations did better than others, and because access and collaboration are often seen as seen from the perspective of the user and not data privacy, in many cases data was too easy to share, or measures were basically not in place to curtail creativity of the user in doing so. And creative users on our networks isn't always the best thing. So another area that I want to touch on, and I spent an hour talking about this last time at Tech last year, but I'm not going to spend that long on doing this, but it's worth repeating. Data privacy laws reflect the citizenship of the data subject and where the data resides, no matter how transient. So data privacy laws don't just apply to where the data is at rest. So each country, region or state regulation also applies as the data traverses from the point of origin to the recipient, back again. And this includes services, of course, such as O365 and AWS and your managed service providers. The complication arises that often local laws may contradict regional ones, and requiring organisations to prioritise on risk over or simply avoid a given service as the risk or costs are too high. And when we're looking at rapid adoption of some of these technologies recently, maybe attention wasn't given to where those services operate out of. So with those decisions in mind, one thing got really overlooked, and it was happening beforehand, but it's really important to point that out now. So service exit strategy. However, it's not a simple case of just terminating a contract that you may have rushed into. In fact, even with plenty of time, organisations often fail to consider the data privacy position when exiting a service. We should be asking who has access to the data after we've gone. In fact, who owns the data? And that could be metadata generated from you. There may be local regulations that require them, if you've outsourced your HR service, to keep the data, or payroll or something like that, or even healthcare service, to keep the data to show that they've conformed. So you need to ask who owns it, why are they using it, and how is it going to exist? How long is it going to exist? And it turns out that, in fact, the exit is more important than the entry when it comes to data privacy. And yet again, especially with today's climate, creative users cause chaos. They may have not told you that they've done something. They may have been really clever and inventive, and now we've become a bit of a problem. And what we end up with is people are becoming obviously more aware of their rights, and and to quote, we're just getting a call from the Nintendo generation, and they want to know where their data is. So we really need to be mindful about where all the information is stored long term. Now, the sudden change to working from home also drove a great deal of uncertainty, and this uncertainty manifested itself in the suspension or re-evaluation of all projects. As we know, the focus shifted to short-term continuity, starting with enabling the remote workers from home and basic equipment and access established. Organisations which were already mid-project establishing flexibility in cloud, they stuttered for a little while, then ramped up. This was further driven by suppliers and service vendors, both trying to help in a great way. And I'm not knocking anything that they did to really help the effort, especially helping frontline services, but also a great opportunity to gain market share. Startups that were really looking for exposure, that had a great service to offer, could grab market share. So what they did was they made some very attractive offers, including free to use offers that we couldn't turn down. Many organizations couldn't turn down. Of course, those organisations basically leapt at these limited time offers, and because we saw the biggest investment in multi-factor authentication and security specialists started screaming about the risk and existing resources were limited, certain decisions that should have taken longer didn't. And this is the problem that we're facing ourselves now. Despite the in-house compliance teams especially the external specialists shouting from the rooftops and internally, we need to have visibility before you do anything. We did not see a representative uptake in the accountability and controls. So people were investing in multi-factor authentication, but they weren't investing in controls to actually see what was going on and give them the granular control with the environments and services they're adopting. It seems that also compliance failures was an acceptable risk, even as far as to say that asking forgiveness afterwards is better than trying to maintain it during the times of uncertainty and upheaval. Now, this led to very few completing or updating data protection impact assessments. And these are the foundation of good data privacy ethics and workflows, and also it's the foundation of the GDPR, a requirement when you're handling sensitive data. Instead, we saw decisions were made based on other criteria and based on estimated risk. So rather than making an informed decision, it was an estimated risk. So that's kind of where we ended up to, and we're starting to see it already. Let's move to the inevitable, the breaches. I think as technical people, we don't always appreciate the complete definition of data privacy terminology. And when we hear the term breach, we consider it from maybe the perspective of the network or maybe a database or a file. But let's just take a minute to review what a breach actually means with regards to, for example, the GDPR and how some of our recent choices may be affected. So the first one, the first type of breach is confidentiality breach. And this is the one we're pretty much all used to. We're seeing this undisclosed data of unauthorized disclosure of data. Who hasn't received an email, not necessarily recently, but certainly in the time they've been working, or certainly had email, who hasn't received an email from the wrong person or the person that actually you're not the right recipient? It's probably the most common data breach, and it's one that is never reported. So we need to be aware of that when people are concentrating on other things. These are the sort of problems we have. Now, I've called out some here with question marks. I'm not saying these are bad services in any way. We just need to make sure that you need to question, are these right for what you're sharing or what your users are doing? So you need to have a look at the data privacy, for example, statements from Google Drive, which is Google Sheets and Gmail. They pretty much own the data and can do whatever you like with it. Zoom, massive adoption. So we adopted something because it was readily available, cost effective. They were great at fixing the security flaw really quick. But that's the thing we need to consider. When you're adopting services, are you inadvertently becoming a testing environment for them? Are you jumping on the bleeding edge when normally you try to avoid it? And then we need to look at other services that are actually reselling the metadata. So they don't see the data you're passing, but the data that the connections you're making are so important. And on that confidentiality breach, we have a recent one, which is Babylon Health had a data breach where users of the GP video conferencing app, they could see other patients' video conferencing appointments. Now this was put down as a software error. Rather than a malicious attack is the statement. I kind of question that when you're being that vague about what it really was and say software error or misconfiguration. The jury is out on that one until they come cleaner. If there's an update, please let me know. So the other area is integrity breach. And so, of course, we've got cyber attacks coming in. We've got misconfiguration, they happen. And then availability breach. And this ransomware really plays into this availability breach. If your data is encrypted and you're expected to have access to it and provide it, you have a failure in that front. So you may get your organization back, but you actually have a breach you need to report. So I think we need to, I want to just step back one bit. Something that is really applicable to all of us is don't let your relationship metadata be used against you. And this is an important concept that many people don't grasp. It's as important as the data you're sharing. We have a sense of trust when receiving and interpreting communications from people we know and have regularly collaborated with. So it's not just the social media giants that know that this is valuable. The hackers do too, and they will use this metadata to help influence you into doing something you shouldn't by pretending to be somebody or pretending to divulge information that only a certain person would know. And so keep this in mind when you're choosing your communication services and always monitor them for breaches, even after you've left the service, because there's, as we said earlier on, the exit strategy, there may be residual data, especially metadata, that is out there that could be used in an attack. And you need to, and we'll see this later, you need to understand the motives and where these attacks are coming from. Now, let's go on. So data privacy is about process. It's not a technical thing. And unsurprisingly, the number one cause for data privacy breaches is process failure. And if we look at what's just happened and how these feed in, so we've got a lot of changes have happened. We've got resource constraints, physical people, we've got network resources, what we can access, what we can't access. We've got a limited time to respond. Those feed in and put extra pressure on processes that exist. We've had to be creative ourselves from the technical side. Our users, again, maybe they've been a little too creative. We've all gone through a big learning curve of working from home and maybe working in a slightly different way. And don't forget, our supply chains are also going through the same thing. So our processes do not end at our boundaries. We've got to consider our supply chains. There are a lot of distractions. So yes, we've got suddenly kids working from home. Some insane people even decide to move. No, sorry, I'm joking about the insanity piece. Not really, but some people decide to move house during this to add to the excitement of being locked down. So there's a lot of distractions, and we are maybe then not focusing as much time that we wanted to on what we should be doing and checking all of the boxes. And then adding all of that together by choosing new services or changing working practices, no matter how good your intentions. Again, we didn't see the visibility, and that visibility comes from those assessments as well as putting solutions in place to understand what is going on. A slight change on the network quite often has a dramatic effect. As with data, it's a ripple effect. And if we're not keeping accurate records, returning to what we want to be normal might be a difficult process of undoing the changes that we did in the first place. And understanding what went wrong without visibility and record keeping, again, leads to major process failures. So some examples of process failures, and I've got nothing against the mind behind this and what they're doing. I'd just like to point that out. I don't want the British government paying me an unwelcome visit. I love you all. Thank you very much. The UK COVID-19 tracing service isn't the app. They launched this, and it came to light. Now, it came to light that they failed even before this to do a data protection impact assessment prior to its launch. The fundamental, but I mean, this app will see thousands of individuals hand over their personal data, including names, gender, dates of birth, home addresses, telephone numbers, email addresses. And under GDPR in the NHS Act 2006, the data can be held for 20 years. So they're making a long-term commitment to this data. Now, I'm not calling them out as in, hey, everybody, look at this, this is terrible, go and hate them. No, I'm saying that this is a good example of rushing to make a decision to do something with very, very good intentions. But we cannot forget that there are significant risks if we get it wrong. And in fact, those risks turned out to be, in one aspect, that the whole track and trace process is very susceptible to phishing, because of the communication, the way it's being done. there's no validation, for example, set up so that legitimate track and trace representatives can identify themselves with confidence to people that they're trying to get information from. So hackers have gone, oh, great, we'll actually go and phone these people up randomly, say we're from the track and trace service, say we know they've come in contact with somebody, they can't divulge those details, and but we need to know your medical history, your date of birth, your address, your phone number, and your mother's maiden name, for example. So don't forget that also priorities in countries do change. And the other thing we want to call out here, I'm not going to call out a particular European country, but a European member country is now being pursued by the GDPR watchdog, the European Union watchdog, because they decided it would be a good idea to suspend GDPR in their country. And that you cannot just go and do that. But this is the thing, when we're considering, going back to that slide where we're looking at the data regulations, don't forget that priorities in different countries are changing, and leniency in one may not be affected in all other areas which the data traverses or relates to. So and don't think it's a permanent thing. They're probably going to repeal something a lot quicker than you can recover from or put in place measures that you should have there already. And in fact, so much so that Norway recently as well decided to delete all of the contact tracing data after its own data protection authority raised concerns. So talking of phishing, actually, here's a good example of because when we're this change, hackers are really good at seizing the opportunities, incredibly creative. And this phishing attack, so security researchers observed phishers leveraging a fake VPN configuration notification to employees looking for their Office 365 credentials. So the problem here is that if you haven't communicated well with your teams what you're doing in all these changes and what is allowed and what isn't allowed in the process of work, they're going to be more susceptible to this. So you need from the offset to communicate. So the campaign attempted to capitalize on this trend of organizations rapidly implementing VPNs to secure their remote workforce communications. So the attackers impersonated the support and sent an email with new VPN configuration information. The clever thing is that instead they actually sent it from Azure. So that's quite an important point. So they registered something because instead of a new configuration, they actually it linked back to this Azure environment that the attacker has sent up. And by hosting their resources on Microsoft's own platform, the phishers gave their phishing page a sense of legitimacy in the form of a valid Microsoft certificate. So really need to be aware of this. And we're going to look at those again in a little bit more detail in the challenging section. So this phishing campaign highlights the intent of malicious actors to continue preying upon organizations whilst they adjust to the security challenges of COVID-19. So this is just examples. We need to be thinking about what could possibly happen, and it's very difficult with a traditional way of looking at networks to do that. Let's first touch on as I said, this is the crux of the whole thing, the most important thing that I know everybody is here for, and it's what changed in the rules, in particular in the GDPR, but also, to be honest, in the US laws as well, North American laws. So what rules changed to allow organizations to take this drastic action? And unfortunately, I'm afraid to say there was none. There are already plenty of exceptions in existence in the GDPR and the UK Data Protection Act, and as I said, various US laws, which anticipated a pandemic and the requirement to share sensitive personal information, both sort of nationally and internationally, with various resources. So I put them up there. If you really want to be excited, go off and have a look. one thing that did change, there wasn't a rule change, but the UK Data Protection Authority and others around the world did allow more time for what was considered to be less critical, less crucial elements, basically things that didn't put the data subject at risk or harm their rights. So they allowed more time to respond to data requests, subject access requests and so on. But what they have not done is granted companies any additional allowances in the collection and use of special category data. You need to justify why you're collecting this data. You need to definitely do a data protection impact assessment, and you need to have special measures, and you need to be open and transparent about it with the data subjects. So keeping that in mind. So the problem we face is that it will be hard to define how data will be used in the future. So Amazon is the latest to suspend the use of facial recognition to allow governments policing to make, to allow governments to policy making to catch up with this technology and its implications, as often happens. And in fact, others such as, well, we've got like IBM, I guess, they have had a stance saying that their facial recognition system technology cannot be used for policing. So data protection is focusing on the moral collection and use of data. That's really the essence, and it's really looking now at the moral side. We saw the first iterations looking at rights, but there was an undertone of moral that is going to be enforced even more. So keep that in mind as we're seeing many more rulings and amendments to take that effect over the next few years. So there we go. That was an exciting bit of data changes. Let's have a look at the technical challenges. So the first one, I think, I want to call out here, encryption and data loss prevention. So encryption, definitely good to have, but not a silver bullet. Too much over-reliance I've seen on encryption at rest without understanding that if a hacker manages to get onto your system, there's a good chance that they can subvert an account or a service with access, and therefore bypassing the encryption layer altogether. So it's definitely good to have mandated for any mobile devices, but if you left a laptop open, then encryption is irrelevant. DLP, so data loss prevention systems, been very popular over the years. They're actually now starting to take a bit of a back step with the concept now of zero trust, which we'll talk about a bit later. But these rely on users and data operating within the sphere of control. They offer very, very granular levels of control and reporting, as well as good sort of versioning, that's kind of important for versioning when it comes to data protection, accountability and accuracy. So keep that in mind. However, do not rely on it to prevent all data loss. There are many ways for an individual to gain a copy of the data, especially with a modern phone and OCR. So also bear in mind, if you're reliant on data loss prevention, you will need to extend that through your supply chain if you want to maintain control. So the next one is whitelisting. Again, looking at this hard out of shell, we're going to talk about this hard out of shell mentality later, but whitelisting has become common because this will come on to a thing we'll talk about SSL, but it's very difficult now to actually read the traffic that's toing and froing because everything's encrypted. So instead, we can look at the target or the source, if you like, the external target and source, and organizations are creating whitelisting to only legitimate sites. However, attackers have cottoned onto this, you should be aware, and they actually are using legitimate data delivery sites to work their exploits and deliver their payloads, and these include YouTube and Reddit. Of course, this risk is based on what sort of environment you allow your users to adopt. The other thing, ubiquitous adoption of services. So touching again on things like the WhatsApp and the creativity. In the past, we've often found ourselves using services that are not not because they're the best or the most suitable, but because everyone else is using it. Given the recent events, our users may have made such choices on our behalf and placed us in an awkward position with regards to this data privacy. Again, creative users, be careful. As we have seen, it's not just the service itself. We need to check up on the document. We need to make sure that it's well documented and what exactly is going on. So we also need to ensure that we can exit gracefully without leaving behind any legacy commitments. So these things can jeopardize our organization or our data subjects. So just bear that in mind, and that's going to drive something that we'll come on to a bit later. So SSL and the GDPR, actually, I love this, the GDPR home goal. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of this one, has been covered a little bit in the press, but it is an interesting, again, side effect of best intentions. So ICANN, the American non-profit organization, which is responsible for domain namespaces, etc., numbers on the internet and ensuring network stability and security. Because they require personal information to be made public, registration services have stopped collecting or validating it. And this is because that would place them in breach of GDPR. So it's enabling now criminals to register sites close to the name of the legitimate ones whilst remaining hidden. And so we'll see the plurals coming up. So this is something we need to make our users aware of. So instead of Adobe, we might see Adobes and Microsofts and various Quests, for example. So we need to be really careful because, again, we're in a distracted environment. Processes are wrong. Autocomplete on email. If you've received an email address, you might then think you're sending somewhere and you actually send the data to the wrong environment. And then if we look at SSL website certificates, so web browsers and so on, we're using SSL for site certificates. We, as a clear indicator, this is safe to send the data. We've trained our users for that. External emails are clearly labeled, usually, etc., to say, hey, this is external email, extra vigilance. This is a false sense of security. For example, internal accounts could have been compromised. So the user, the recipient, doesn't see the alerts external. The attacker has compromised an internal account. And the next thing we know, we've got internal users divulging information internally to a compromised account, or even just externally by being duped to do so. We need to bear in mind that what we put in place to protect ourselves can also cause us problems. And this is where the next thing, visibility of risk, is really, really important. As we have discussed, many decisions have been made, often resulting in the adoption of services and changes to practices that place them outside of our immediate realm of monitoring. And this world is not simple. And what we may be perceived as a quick and easy choice will have repercussions, without doubt. So just focusing on the first, I guess, first on locking things down without knowing what is happening means that you run a really good risk of being unable to state categorically that you have taken every measure. And when the inevitable happens, and it will, you will not be in a position for early warning, understanding the scope, or being able to react. And we're going to see that is where we need to be. And then finally, identity. We've touched on this already, so identity is important, but we need accountability for data protection, but we also need flexibility in our working environments, and marrying those three things together and ensuring identity accountability with flexibility is a particularly difficult struggle for us. So now I'm going to touch on what I call an outmoded thought process. So many organizations may not realize it, but they're stuck in a loop when it comes to their security posture. Despite many updates and changes, they have not fundamentally changed the way in which they approach the security and their threat response, but instead are simply amending an old strategy. And they're just building technical debt. So they're maintaining systems which are costing more money and more effort to run. So what we all should do, no matter how mature you think you are along the route, it's always worth doing on a regular basis, is go back to first principles, draw a line under what you're doing and really understand, are you thinking about your environment and your challenges the right way? And we'll talk about it in a minute. Quickly, I want to just talk about the dysfunctional mindset, which is the prevent all breaches. So before we looked at what we should be asking, but we should first examine what is fundamentally wrong with the approach that has served us well in the past, I guess. So it's rooted in how we perceive defense. We construct a hard outer shell because we believe that intruders should never get in and data should never get out. We apply a good degree of trust that our systems and our personnel within our perimeter have been vetted and can be trusted because they, let's face it, if they got into our building, pretty sure we know who they are, and the connections between the outside and the inside are vetted through technology to ensure, valid connections, secure encrypted destinations, and trusted external digital identities are permitted. So we end up with this prevent all breaches mentality, or this concept. The problem with that is, so in other words, our assumption is that any unauthorized external entity gaining access past our outer perimeter is a failure, regardless of their objective, or regardless of actually achieving their objective. Getting into our perimeter isn't their objective. Their objective is getting to the data source or compromising something or getting in it. We then need to look at all the points, and it's only when they reach their objective have we failed. Simply getting into our network is not a failure. They've achieved nothing. So this is where we start talking about the kill chain and understanding at what points we can slow down and stop an attacker. It also gives us a great way of quantifying, for budgeting purposes, our effectiveness. This fixation on preventing or perimeter breaches does not allow an organization to understand how it protects its actual assets and important information, as we assume once inside it's a legitimate entity, and with zero trust we're not differentiating between on the same SharePoint farm, for example, the payroll service and the canteen meal of the day menu. So because that's prevent all breaches methodology. So the other areas, we create this incredibly complex and hardened external internal parameters and segregation. It's very difficult to respond to a breach. First, through maintaining end-to-end visibility, but also able to have the required granularity and response. So what's wrong with the old approach to network security? Well, in essence, when we are designing our security and data models, and in an effort to thwart attackers, we need to come to understand what would have a material impact on our organization, because treating all data as equal, knowingly or unknowingly, sets us up for failure. So what do we need to do? And this is where we need to get our mindset and what we should be aiming for. So 1 minute to detect a breach, 10 minutes to understand the breach, and 60 minutes to resolve the breach. Because on average, they move, an attacker will move laterally within an hour and 58 minutes on average. And at that point, well, to quote another film, they're dug in deeper than an Alabama tick. So we need to respond really, really quickly. And to do that, we need to complete these phases. And I want to call out quickly something here. Cyber criminals have moved away from the spray and pray style of attacks and have more targeted intrusions, exploiting weak credentials, unpatched software, or phishing. And also they're less noisy. They're sitting back and gathering data because money is the game here. They are monetizing illegally your data. So they sit back and then for a while they'll collect a lot of data before triggering endpoint lockdown through malware. And we saw recently IT services giant Conduit suffer from ransomware attack, big attack. They throughout their European operations. a major ransomware attack. What is really impressive, though, despite this being an unpatched Citrix VPN server causing the problem, they got themselves back pretty much within 8 hours. And the reason for this, many organizations are able to respond, including Amazon and Microsoft, who've recently also had outages. Automation. Automation is king. So when we are now considering all of this, let's consider the new normal. So really, this is where we now get the mindset of least privilege and zero trust, and always verify. Zero trust are subjects worth an entire session on their own right, so I'm not going to do them the disjustice of trying to cover them in any great depth right now, but the important concepts we want to cover here is that when we consider these things, we need to stop thinking about our network and our infrastructure segmentations as perimeters. We need to start considering the entire stack, from the device being used, the operating system on it, the applications, their access model. So within the applications, the data transfer and wherever it iterates through, who has access and manages it. Internal, external entities, as I said, and ongoing. Who is supplying our services and solutions, especially SaaS? Where are they coming from? And who has physical access to our workspace? Because people are going to be transient for quite a while. I think at the end of the day, we're going to see about a 20% increase in the permanent remote work from home footprint. But for a good while now, we are going to see a lot of toing and froing and transient movement between people working only part week in the office. So we need to reaffirm who people are, their intentions are, what is normal. We need to constantly be monitoring, not just take our JML process as written gospel, and really want to understand what the services need to access and what they need to access, a least privilege model. We need to do this in a way, though, that enables the organization to operate efficiently, because I've seen this where it's been rushed off without the visibility piece. And again, visibility causes frustration, and frustration breeds creative users. So to kind of recap, we need a new model. We need to protect at the object level, focusing on our users and the endpoints and the data. We need to really a big change realized by cloud technologies is the concept of the construct. We saw this in an earlier tech talk, that the data is now in the cloud being in its own construct. It's separated from the management and the transport and the presentation layers. And this is great because this allows us far greater reuse, enrichment, correlation and value. And all of those are tools that we can use to help us strengthen our data privacy and data management. So as identity improves, we're going to see more self-service becoming more prolific, not just end user account management, but also enabling faster actions and granular ownership in the data lifecycle. And with greater visibility through enterprise-wide hybrid monitoring, we can see these insights to fine-tune behavior, rights management, react quickly, and do things when they inevitably don't go to plan. So what is the new normal or remote working teaching us? Data privacy and cybersecurity working together. Data privacy is about process, it involves the entire business. Cybersecurity is often underfunded. The two collaborate together and get security on the board investment radar. We need to have open and honest dialogues with our users and keep building on that to explain and communicate well about why services should and shouldn't be used and what they have done. And this is inevitably going to require us to reevaluate our risk assessment and probably make a few disclosures. But remote working and the methodology done the right way actually drives stronger data privacy. It removes identity and trust assumptions. We're now really identifying these people. We're putting focus on visibility and accountability rather than just letting things go. We're also focusing on what's materially important to the organizations. Not all data is created equal. So we need to understand exactly where we're putting our money and focusing on, and that kill chain, so we can be most effective when protecting that important data. And security goes right down to the data level, and in fact that's the building point, and you start up from that. Start with the solution and work out how you get there. Don't start with the problem and go down the other way. And that all is driving data privacy by design and by default. So that is my comment on the world of the new normal. We're going to have residual flexibility, but it's a good thing. We've learned a lot. And we're going to learn even more, as was already pointed out by Jennifer. We've got a tech talk coming up for those that didn't miss the intro there, on July 15th. Something very close to my heart, because email is still the #1 exploitation method. So just bear that one in mind. So I will thank you and hand back to Jennifer.
Great, thank you, Colin. The Q&A is open, so if you have a question, definitely put that in the Q&A and we can address that currently. I know we have one question there right now. Just a few notes. Thank you for all of those who submitted requests for CPE. You can still submit those requests through the email. Just look in the Q&A section for my email. I will send those out later today. And I also put a link to the Tech Talk on July 15th. In fact, Colin is actually going to be talking about Office 365 security around email at the Experts Conference in November in Atlanta. So he'll also be talking on that same topic or something similar. So Colin, the question that we have here is regarding the California Privacy Act that I believe is supposed to start sometime in July. Can you talk about any changes that might be happening regarding the pandemic? Has that been pushed off? Can you talk through that?
Yeah, it's amazing actually how one piece of legislation in one state is talked about globally. The interesting thing with this one is it's aimed at the consumer. So rather than coming at it from the data subject, we're really looking at this from the consumer. It was submitted late, unfortunately, at the beginning of this month, and they have to have at least 30 days before it can go live. That already put the July 1st deadline at risk. Because under the changes with COVID-19, they're allowed 60 days to debate and ratify this. So we may not see this actually happening in July 1st, or certainly not the final version. In fact, definitely not the final version, because there are already significant changes planned in November, which are going to be far more draconian. But it's great to see that kind of data privacy is moving in and really targeting key areas such as consumer rights.
Can you explain that a little bit more when you talk about it's aimed at the consumer? Can you explain the difference there? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so here the premise is mainly around when you're buying something, for example, you have the right to say what data you're going to supply, in addition, how that data is going to be used, how long it's going to be used for. So a lot of visibility and education, and it really it's making vendors be clear, crystal clear in layman's terms, what they're doing with your data and what rights you have. So it's really focused around that in particular. Whereas data privacy broader in the fact that, you know, we're looking at IP addresses and MAC addresses and dates of birth that are maybe nothing to do with a particular transaction. And also the question is again, residency. GDPR and so on looks at the residence of in fact, not the residence, the citizenship of an individual, as opposed to just simply a transaction in a particular country.
So does the California Act look at the residents, so applies to all California residents regardless of where they're at, or just if you're doing business in California?
It's if you're doing business if you're providing a service, then but this is the really interesting thing, because you could be doing a service to anybody. You really need to be it's actually quite nice, because it clearly defines. One of the problems we got with the GDPR is we had to, as an international organization, make a lot of assumptions and put them in globally around this person could be a resident of the European Union, so we therefore had to put measures in place to handle their data. Therefore, we might as well do it for everybody. So this is quite an interesting approach. As I said, we have yet to see the final version and how they're going to bring in the much more draconian regulations to further protect the consumer.
Okay, great. I don't see any other questions right now. We are 1 minute past the hour, so I think we'll close it here. I appreciate everyone's time and attention. The recording will be posted on theexpertsconference.com within the next 48 hours. And then I will also send out the CPE information for those who requested it. Colin, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your expertise with us today, and we will see you at Tech in November. So thank you. Thanks, everyone.